What's up, combatants, and welcome back to another video on MK Temple. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to rank every new character in every Mortal Kombat game, from the initial Mortal Kombat all the way up to Mortal Kombat 11. So basically we'll take a look at one of the games, so let's just say like Mortal Kombat 2, and we will only rank the new characters for that game, and then we'll move on to the next game and rank all the new characters in that game. I just thought it would be a cool, different kind of way of ranking the characters, and I haven't really seen anyone else do this yet. And I encourage you to do your own rankings of these characters as I rank them. So as I'm going along in my rankings, you can rank them as well, and then put your rankings in the comments below, and I'll do my best to reply. Now, before we get started, if you enjoy learning about Mortal Kombat lore and story, I invite you over to my channel, MK Temple. It would mean a great deal to me if you could give me a subscribe, click the bell to get notifications every time I post a new video, and if you like this video, it would also mean a great deal to me if you could give me a big thumbs up. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started with this video. Now, I just want to lay some rules down that we're only going to be looking at the main franchise of Mortal Kombat. So we're only going to be looking at the main installments. So I'm not going to take a look at any of the adventure games like Mythologies or Special Forces or Shaolin Monks. Not going to be taking a look at MK vs. DC. Only the main installments of Mortal Kombat. Let's get started with the first Mortal Kombat 1, and every character in Mortal Kombat 1, since it's a new game, is a new character. So basically we're going to rank the characters from Mortal Kombat 1 here, and who do we have? In alphabetical order for Mortal Kombat, which came out in 1992, we've got Goro, Johnny Cage, Kano, Liu Kang, Raiden, Reptile, Scorpion, Shang Tsung, Sonya, and Sub-Zero, beyond Sub-Zero. We're also going to rank them from best to worst, in my opinion, and the things that I'm going to be looking at to decide my rankings is the uniqueness of the character, the status of the character, like is he well known, is he legendary, the storyline and like the lore behind them, and then also how they fare in combat. So I'm gonna kind of pull all those things together when making my decision. So right off the bat, I mean, Scorpion has to be number one, right? He's the poster child for Mortal Kombat. I mean, he's not my favorite character, but regardless of if he is your favorite character or not, he's the most iconic. Everyone who knows Mortal Kombat knows Scorpion. So Scorpion at the top. And then I feel like everyone also knows Sub-Zero. I feel like Sub-Zero is gonna have to go at 2. Okay, so that leaves us with Goro, Johnny Cage, Kano, Liu Kang, Raiden, Reptile, Shang Tsung, and Sonya. Here's the thing about these early games. Every character is great, and every character has been in multiple games, in like Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3. We've seen these characters make multiple entries, and they all have their own, you know, fan support and fans behind them. So I know I'm probably going to piss some people off with my rankings here, but this is just my opinion. And you can leave your opinions in the comments below. I will be sure to read them. So I think number 3, also if we're kind of going popularity and importance to the story, probably has to be Raiden. So Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Raiden. So number 4, I think the champion of Mortal Kombat, Liu Kang. I don't know, it's tough. It's between him and Goro, because Goro's pretty iconic, especially in the early 90s. Like, everyone knew who Goro was. I think he's more infamous than Shang Tsung, actually, but I think Liu Kang is probably gonna have to take the 4 spot, and then we're gonna put Goro at number 5. Liu Kang is the champion of Mortal Kombat. He has been in almost every Mortal Kombat game. He triumphed over evil from Mortal Kombat 1 all the way to Mortal Kombat 4. You know, he came back in Deception, and in the new timeline, he won Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 in the reboot, and then after Shinnok's demise, he became the Dark Lord of the Netherrealm. So I think it makes sense to put Liu Kang at number 4, and even without the new timeline, I still would put him at number 4. And then Goro at number 5, because everyone knows and loves Goro. Maybe not loves, but everyone knows Goro. He's one of the most iconic video game bosses of all time, I feel like. And now here's where it gets tough, because I kind of hold all these characters in the same type of tier. So we've got Johnny Cage, Kano, Reptile, Shang Tsung, and Sonya. So I'm gonna say there's another 2 characters that I'm kind of caught in between, and it's Johnny Cage and Shang Tsung. And I think it's gonna have to be Johnny Cage, also based on his popularity and his story arc in the new trilogy, because he's really almost the main protagonist in the rebooted trilogy, and he has such a huge fan base. It's almost like you can't have a Mortal Kombat game without Johnny Cage. In fact, I think he's only not been in 2 main installments, which is originally the Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which they then put him in it for Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and he wasn't in Deception, but he's been in every other game since then. So I'm gonna say Johnny Cage is gonna have to go with number 6, and then Shang Tsung at number 7. And these two are my 2 favorite characters in the entire Mortal Kombat franchise. Johnny Cage being 1, Shang Tsung being 2. I love Shang Tsung as a villain. I think he's fantastic. He is kind of one-dimensional because you always know he's going to betray whoever he's partnering with. That's just in his nature. You know what he's doing. But I still just think the whole idea of him, like, he has to take the soul of his victims, and if he doesn't, eventually he'll just become old and die. And the way he's portrayed in the movie made him really iconic. So I think he deserves that 7th spot. We're down to the last 3 for Mortal Kombat 1. We've got Kano, we've got Reptile, and we've got Sonya. I think Sonya is going to have to go next. She's the first female combatant. Just like Johnny Cage, she's been in almost every game. She is detrimental to the story in almost every game. She is a fan favorite. She's iconic. So Sonya is going to take number 8. And now we're down to Kano and Reptile. So I'm sorry, Kano and Reptile fans. I know you're probably fuming at me right now, but I do have reasons for putting these 2 this low. Kano, I love him as a character, and I think he's pretty detrimental to the story as well later on in the games. As an actual character in the first Mortal Kombat, I do find him a little boring compared to the other characters. I just think that all of these characters are great, but I think the first 8 are all better than Kano, and I think as a character, Kano is better than Reptile, so I'm going to put Kano at 9, and I'm going to put Reptile at 10. And the reason why I'm putting Reptile at 10, there's a few different reasons. Reptile is a cool character, but he's never really done anything to impact the greater story of Mortal Kombat. He's the original secret character in Mortal Kombat. He was still just a palette swap of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. He doesn't have his own moves in Mortal Kombat 1. He really does shine in MK2 when you can be him. And I remember the first time playing MK2, seeing him as a selectable character, because I am that old. I remember when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, I was a child at that time. He was the first person I picked because he was the secret character from Mortal Kombat 1. I was like, oh my god, you could be him in Mortal Kombat 2. He's always kind of like a spy. He's always a spy or a bodyguard in the storyline. He doesn't really have any impact. So let me walk that back. I did just say that he doesn't really have any impact in the main story, but he does. He does turn into the Dragon King in Deception. His body is used as a vessel, but he doesn't really do anything. It's just he's in there at the wrong place, wrong time. In almost every fight that you look back in Mortal Kombat lore, Reptile always loses. Almost every time. And outside of him being a vessel for the Dragon King, he's just kind of there as a character. He always fails at his job. I think the best position for Reptile was him being a spy for Kotal Kahn in the Mortal Kombat X comics. Outside of that, and Kotal Kahn even makes mention of this, saying that Shao Kahn tried to use him as a warrior, and he's not a warrior because he's not that great of a fighter. He is much better as a spy. Still a good character, but I just think he's probably the weakest of the Mortal Kombat 1 characters. So with that, we've got Scorpion at number 1, Sub-Zero at number 2, Raiden at number 3, Liu Kang at number 4, Goro at number 5, Johnny Cage at number 6, Shang Tsung at 7, Sonya at 8, Kano at 9, and Reptile at 10 for Mortal Kombat 1. Let's take a look now at Mortal Kombat 2. And I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I'm just kind of doing this as I go. But anyway, Mortal Kombat 2. So we got a bunch of new characters in Mortal Kombat 2, and again, they are iconic characters, and they are Baraka, Jade, Jax, Kintaro, Kitana, Kung Lao, Mileena, Shao Kahn, Smoke, and Sub-Zero, Kuai Liang. So I think this one is going to be easy, who I think the best character is here. He's, in my opinion, story-wise, one of, if not the, best characters in the Mortal Kombat franchise, and that is Sub-Zero Kuai Liang. It does kind of feel like a cop-out because we had Bi-Han Sub-Zero in the original Mortal Kombat, who turns into Noob Saibot, but I do still think that Kuai Liang Sub-Zero is, I think he's actually even more iconic than Bi-Han. And I like Kuai Liang because he is strong enough to support his own story alongside the actual Mortal Kombat story. So he comes in to Mortal Kombat 2 to find the murderer of his brother, Scorpion. And Scorpion vows to protect him because he took a life, so now he needs to protect a life. It was kind of Scorpion's storyline. It's kind of dumb. But anyway, then we discover more about the Lin Kuei. We discover that the Lin Kuei is going the automation process. It's automating and turning all of its clan members into cyber assassins, and Sub-Zero rebels against this. So then he's hunted by the Lin Kuei, and we get that in the Mortal Kombat 3 storyline. So he's on the run. He's still a good guy, but he's still on the run. And then Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat 4 tells Scorpion that Kuai Liang was the one that was responsible for his family, for Scorpion's family's murder. He lies to him. So we have that storyline playing out in Mortal Kombat 4. And then in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, we have him with Frost, and then he gets separated from the group and Frost betrays him, and then he meets up with Kenshi. So like, he always has this interesting story that I think is one of the better stories for individual Mortal Kombat characters that doesn't really have to do with the main story of Mortal Kombat. So that's why I'm putting him at number 1 for the new characters in Mortal Kombat 2. All right, so now who should be next? It's between Shao Kahn and Kitana. And I'm gonna put Kitana next. She's the Princess of Edenia. She is one of, if not the most popular female character. I mean, Melina would argue against that, but I think Kitana is a better written character. I think her story is more impactful. She becomes the Empress of the Netherrealm in the new trilogy. So Kitana at number 2. Number 3, Shao Kahn. And it's simply because Shao Kahn is the big boss of Mortal Kombat. I mean, we talked about how iconic Goro is, but everyone knows that Shao Kahn is the main boss. He's been the main boss in Mortal Kombat 2, main boss in Mortal Kombat 3, main boss in Mortal Kombat 9. He combines, even though we're not looking at Mortal Kombat versus DC, he combines with Darkseid to become Dark Khan in that game. So Shao Kahn, this is an easy decision to put him here. He's had a rule over Outworld for thousands and thousands of years. He's absorbed many other realms. He's super powerful in the lore. This is an easy decision for me to put him at number 3. So I got all the way done with the video and I just realized that I never ranked Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat 2. I guess I just forgot to put him on my list. I'm putting this in after I had already ranked everything. So I'm gonna put Kung Lao in at number 4 behind Shao Kahn. Kung Lao deserves to be here. He is almost a top tier character. He at one point looks like it was going to take over as the main protagonist during Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, but then later we find out that he did not succeed because he's just not as good as Liu Kang, which is why he's kind of in the middle of this list, but he's still a great character nonetheless. Okay, we've got Baraka, Jade, Jax, Kintaro, Melina, and Smoke left. We're gonna go with Jax. Again, another just like iconic default character for Mortal Kombat. I expect him to be in almost every game. He has been in almost every game. He shows up in MK2 to find Sonya, who has gone missing, and he just kind of gets thrown into all of what's going on with Outworld and things that he wasn't familiar with at all. And he becomes a great character because he comes back in every game since then, with the exception of like Deception. So yeah, number 4, Jax. If you asked me this 10 years ago, I don't think I would be putting her here, but she has gained so much popularity, and I think moving forward she will probably be a staple for the games, and she will be included in almost every game. So we're gonna go with Melina at number 5. And I remember in the original timeline, she was not this popular. I think up until she was reintroduced in Deception, she gained a lot of popularity. I think she was actually even in like a video game edition of Playboy, which may make sense as to why she gained popularity. She's super popular now, and she is a much better written character in the new trilogy than she was in the original timeline. In the original timeline, she really didn't have that much of an interesting story outside of she was Kitana's clone, and then she actually is killed by Kitana in Mortal Kombat 2, and then in Mortal Kombat 3, well, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, she comes back because she's residing in the Netherrealm after being killed. And then she kind of fights on the side of Shinnok in Mortal Kombat 4 and then gets imprisoned and then gets broken free from that prison in Mortal Kombat Deception. And then in Mortal Kombat, in the new timeline, she becomes Kanem, is killed by Devora. She has a huge arc in the Mortal Kombat X comics. So yeah, I think it makes sense to put Mileena at number 5. So now we're down to Baraka, Jade, Kintaro, and Smoke. This is an easy decision for me. It's gonna be Jade. Sorry, Smoke fans. I know there's a lot of you out there. But it's going to be Jade because she also has a lot of story that intertwines. She's like kind of a background character to the Katana story, to the Edenia storyline. She's Katana's best friend. I think it makes sense to put Jade down here. She is, of the female characters, she's one of my favorites. She's a lot of fun to play with also, if you can use her like staff combos to create distance between you and the other character. But I think she's just a very well-written character as well. This is tough now. We've got Baraka, Kintaro, and Smoke. I'm sorry if you're a fan of any of these 3 characters, but they don't really contribute that much to the storyline. For me, it's gonna be definitely between Baraka and Smoke for the number 7 slot. I want to put Smoke there, but I think it's more deserving of Baraka. He's the leader of the Tarkatan Horde. He has done much more in terms of the Mortal Kombat lore to deserve this 7 spot. So I think I'm going to put him there, and that's what I'm going to do. Number 8 is going to be Smoke. Smoke more so than Kintaro. Smoke doesn't have a very big storyline. He was a member of the Lin Kuei who got caught by them during the automation process. He's Kuai Liang's best friend, was turned into a robot. Kind of cool storyline, but his storyline is always attached to other people's stories, which is why I'm putting him so low. You know, he's attached to Sub-Zero in the Lin Kuei storyline. He gets turned into a cyborg. He malfunctions when the Lin Kuei goes down. Noob Saibot finds him and reprograms him to work on his side. That's really his story, all of his story in the original timeline. In the 3D timeline, he doesn't get captured, and then he's just kind of this side character for the whole time, and we don't even see him. I mean, we barely see him in MKX, and I don't even think we see him in MK11 at all. I would love to see them flesh his character out more, but his character is not very... His character just isn't written very well. So we're going to put him at 8. And then at number 9, it's Kintaro. And the reason being is, again, kind of like Smoke, he's just not fleshed out. He was a Goro copy. He's actually, I think he looks the coolest of the Shokan that we get. I like his look. He looks more imposing than Goro, in my opinion. I love the stripes that they give him, but we don't really know anything about him. I would love to learn more about the Tigrar lineage of the Shokan as opposed to the Draco lineage, which is Goro and Shiva, but we haven't really gotten anything. I think the most storyline that we got from Kintaro was in the MKX comics, and he doesn't really do much there either. He's just kind of there as a grunt, and then he dies at the end. So I think he's easily last in the new characters for Mortal Kombat 2. So the final ranking for Mortal Kombat 2 is as follows in the new characters. Number 1, Sub-Zero Kuai Liang. Number 2, Katana. Number 3, Shao Kahn. Number 4, Kung Lao. Number 5, Jax. Number 6, Mileena. Number 7, Jade. Number 8, Baraka. Number 9, Smoke. And number 10, Kintaro. Okay, let's move on now to Mortal Kombat Trilogy. So this is going to take a look at MK3, Ultimate MK3, and MK Trilogy. So the new characters that we got from those games are Chameleon, Cyrax, Ermac, Cabal, Chameleon with a K, Motaro, Nightwolf, Rain, Sector, Shiva, Sindel, and Striker. So we're starting to get into some not as iconic characters this time around. I feel like Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2 are full of iconic characters, and in this one, we have some duds. There are definitely some duds in this one. So let's see, who is the most important character of this ragtag group of characters that we have here? I'm gonna go with Sindel. It's because of her that Mortal Kombat 3 and the Mortal Kombat 3 storyline happens. She was the queen of Edenia. She has a lot of backstory. She's a pretty cool character. I think she's the first character that can actually like fly in the game. Like you could actually use her moves to fly, and then it kind of like puts her in this float position, and then she has special moves from up there, which is pretty cool. And she's super powerful. She's just like, she kills, I don't know how many characters in Mortal Kombat 9. I mean, I'm not really happy about that storyline decision, neither is most of the Mortal Kombat community, but it still goes to show you just how powerful Sindel is. Granted, Shao Kahn did bestow her with more power, but still. And then in Aftermath, they have to, you know, revive her because she's so powerful. And I know people are still hurt about her retconned story, but that's not taking away anything from this character. So I think she's an easy number one in the Mortal Kombat trilogy new characters. So who is number 2? I mean, it's easy for me to see who the last character is, but we'll get there. I think I'm gonna go with Ermac. He is such a cool concept to me. He's also one of my favorites. He is my favorite ninja. And just the concept of like the souls of all of the fallen warriors are put together into one character. I think that that's just like such an awesome concept. And I've always liked Ermac. I always think that like the green and red go really well with him. It makes him look super cool. His deception look all the way up to his current look is awesome. I think when they transitioned him from that palette swapped ninja, I think that it just transitioned very well. And then also in Mortal Kombat Deception, he's the one that connects with Liu Kang to regain the souls of the fallen warriors, which are Katana, Sonya, Johnny Cage, Jax. So he connects with Liu Kang so that, and helps them like regain their souls, because they all are killed in Mortal Kombat Deception, and then he helps like revive them. So he is detrimental to that part of the story in the 3D era, and that's why I'm picking Ermac at 2. So number 3, here's where it gets kind of hard, because I kind of put all these characters in the same type of tier. I think I'm gonna go with Rain for number 3. And Rain, for the longest time, was such a joke character. In the whole original timeline, he was basically a joke character. He was created because Ed Boon likes Prince, and he was created in reference to Purple Rain. And when he was initially shown in the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 Attract mode, and he wasn't even a character yet, and then they put him in the console mode of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and in Mortal Kombat Trilogy. We didn't see from him or hear from him again until Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And in Armageddon, he shows up with this new kind of like Arabic type look, which I like. In the new timeline, they really fleshed out his story. Honestly, if they didn't add him as DLC in Mortal Kombat 11, I don't know if he would be this high. But putting him in there, you know, giving him his time, making him a little bit more fleshed out, and he has such great power and such great potential. His moves are always fun to play with. He's always just a fun character to play with. So I think that's why, all that combined, I think that's why we're going to put him at 3. Number 4. Initially, I was thinking of putting Cyrax here, but I think I'm actually going to go with Nightwolf. And again, it comes down to Nightwolf is super fun to play in Mortal Kombat Deception, but it also just comes down to his power. He has so much power that he gets bestowed upon him by the Great Spirit. They fleshed his storyline out more also in Mortal Kombat 11 in the newer timeline. He's the one that sacrifices himself to kill Sindel, so I feel like that should be a good reason to bring him up there. So yeah, we're going to put Nightwolf at number 4. Number 5, let's go with Cyrax. Now, let the record show that I actually like Sector more than Cyrax, but I think Cyrax is a more important character in the games. He has a great storyline. In Mortal Kombat Trilogy, he malfunctions in the desert. He's found by the Outer World Investigation Agency, so Sonya and Jax. They help him regain his humanity, which is still kind of unclear what that means. I think that really kind of just means his free will. And then in the later games, we see him as a member of the Special Forces, as a member of the Outer World Investigation Agency. In the new timeline, both Cyrax and Sector's storylines are kind of dull, but I do think that Cyrax is still just the better character, so we're going to put him there. So now, who we have left? We've got Chameleon with a C, Cabal, Chameleon with a K, Motaro, Sector, Shiva, and Striker. I think the next one's going to have to be Shiva. Again, it's because her story gets fleshed out. Shiva is one of the most boring characters in the original timeline, but in the new timeline, she becomes queen of the Shokan. She has a good storyline in the Mortal Kombat X comics, and she has a great story in Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat Aftermath. So Shiva's gonna go at number 6. Queen of the Shokan, Shiva. At number 7, let's go with Kabal. Kabal's pretty well written in terms of characters. He does restart the Black Dragon in Mortal Kombat Deception, which kind of gives him more clout. I'd say that's kind of like the peak of his Mortal Kombat career. He doesn't really do much in Mortal Kombat 11. He has a little bit of story in Mortal Kombat 9, but I think peak Kabal is when he restarted the Black Dragon. This one should be pretty easy. I think it's Sector at number 8. Sector has the potential to be just such a good character, but he's never given the chance. You know, he starts the Tikkunin, his own clan of cyber assassins in the late 3D era, and we see them kind of come about in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and then Armageddon happens and it gets scrapped, and then he's just kind of like a side character, kind of a background character, and I like Sector a lot. He just, as a character, he's not very well written, so he has the potential to move up. Chameleon with a C, Chameleon with a K, Motaro, Striker. We'll go with Striker here. He's easily the weakest of the new playable characters, not including the chameleons. I mean, he's just kind of boring. Like, he doesn't really have a story. He's just some cop that gets caught in the middle of it. They never flesh him out in terms of character. He's just Striker. For the longest time, I remember back in like the 3D era, for the longest time, people always considered him to be the worst Mortal Kombat character. So yeah, we're gonna put him at 9. Okay, we've got the Chameleons and Motaro. Honestly, I think female Chameleon probably goes here because she at least has some type of a storyline, and yeah, she's not as mysterious as the other Chameleons, so I think we put her there. I would love to see them kind of rework her like they did with Scarlet. I think she has the potential to become a good character. So I think, yeah, female Chameleon at number 10. We'll put Motaro at number 11. He has very little story, and his story in Mortal Kombat Armageddon is one of my least favorites, and I think one of the stupidest storylines ever. So basically, in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, for the sake of like throw animations and stuff like that, they couldn't use a 4-legged character because you wouldn't be able to like throw them or like jump behind them and whatever in like the animations. So instead they turned Motaro into a Minotaur, and the storyline that they gave him was that the Shokan cast a spell on all the centaurs to turn them into Minotaurs, and it's this stupid fucking story, and I hate it. And Motaro has only been playable in, I mean, if you count all of the Mortal Kombat Trilogy games as one, and Armageddon, he's only been playable in 2 games, and he peaked in Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, so we're gonna put him there. And in last at number 12 is Chameleon. He's just a character that's just there to be a character. There is just like, hey, let's just give this ninja the abilities of all the other ninjas. We'll call him Chameleon. He has no story. It's rumored that he's part of the Saurian race, which is of the other Chameleon and Reptile, but this has never been confirmed. He's just a dumb character, in my opinion. He's just there to be there. So he's easily last in this list for me. So Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the new character rankings are Sindel, Ermac, Rain, Nightwolf, Cyrax, Shiva, Kabal, Sector, Striker, female Chameleon, Motaro, male Chameleon. Okay, so next up is Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat Gold, and if you thought there were some duds in the last one, just wait till we get through with this one. So the new characters for Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat Gold are Fujin, Jarek, Kai, Reiko, Quan Chi, Shinnok, Tanya, and Meat. This isn't hard to determine who the best new character is in these games. It's hands down, by a fucking mile, Quan Chi. So Quan Chi definitely at number 1. I mean, he joins the Deadly Alliance. He has a huge impact in every Mortal Kombat game, basically, moving forward from this game out, except for, I guess, Mortal Kombat 11, because he's not in it. but he makes such a huge impact, and he is widely regarded as one of the most powerful sorcerers in like the whole MK franchise. So Quan Chi, number one. Number two is gonna have to be Shinnok, and I think Quan Chi is a better character than Shinnok. Shinnok may be more powerful. He was once an elder god. He also has a pretty important story arc moving forward. We don't really see or hear from him after this go. He kind of gets beaten, and then we don't really hear from him until Armageddon. And it's even questioned if the Shinnok who's fighting in Armageddon is actually Shinnok, or if it's actually like a decoy or something. I did go over this in one of my videos, in the Mortal Kombat Armageddon video. You can check that one out. And then Shinnok does play a big role in Mortal Kombat X when he comes back in the new timeline. So I think Shinnok deserves to be number two, but I think Quan Chi is way more important to the Mortal Kombat storyline than Shinnok is. Okay, so now that they're out of the way, let's take a look at this group of characters that we have left. So we've got Fujin, Jarek, Kai, Reiko, Tanya, and Meat. A lot of great characters to choose from here. No, I think some of these are actually pretty good. Fujin, I think, is going to take the next one. I always thought Fujin was a very good character, and I always thought he was very underused. I am very glad that they brought him into Mortal Kombat 11 as DLC. I'm actually surprised that they used him as a cameo character in Mortal Kombat X, but didn't use him as a main character. He's always had a lot of good potential. He's an airbender. Like, why not have him in the games? And I would have loved to see him, you know, at the end of MK4, he becomes the new protector of Earth, and then in Deadly Alliance, they were like, no, Raiden's still the protector of Earth, and they just kind of stripped that from him. But I would have loved to see a Mortal Kombat where Fujin is the protector of Earth as opposed to Raiden. I would have loved to see that storyline play out if we got like the Dark Raiden story in Mortal Kombat 11, but alas, we did not. So I think Fujin is a very good character. He's going to go at 3. I think this next choice is also pretty easy to make, and that's going to be at number 4. We're going to put Tanya here. Tanya too, she has a pretty decent story. She's a traitor. She's a traitor of Edenia. She lets Shinnok and Quan Chi into the realm, which then they take over the realm, and that's how Mortal Kombat 4 gets started. She's known as a traitor throughout the entire franchise, so that kind of follows her along, but I do think she is an underused character, and I think she's a good character that could definitely come back, and we could see her put back into the franchise, which you can't really, I don't know if you can say that for the next few characters. Maybe this one, Reiko, at number 5. Reiko has a huge story arc in the Mortal Kombat X comics, and they make him out to be pretty cool. I mean, he gets fooled by Havoc, but he's pretty powerful, and you know, you read the Mortal Kombat X comics, and you can see a game where he can be a cool character to be put in there. But instead, they just kind of made him like a Shao Kahn wannabe, like a mini Shao Kahn, and he's still not that great of a character. So that's why he's so low on the list. Okay, now we've got Jarek, Kai, and Meat. I guess we're gonna go with Kai here. I highly doubt we'll ever see Kai again. He's pretty boring, and I don't know. There's not like much appeal to Kai. But maybe we'll see him again. I don't know, but I doubt it. He's one of the worst characters in this game, and the only reason why I'm putting these other two below him is I'm going to explain that right now. The next, we're going to go with Jarek. Jarek is Kano. That's why he's going at the bottom of this list. Because they wanted to put Kano in this game, but instead they were like, let's put a new character in this game. But he has every single fucking move as Kano. They should have just made him Kano. He even has the laser eyes, and he doesn't have a metallic plate, so it doesn't make sense why you would give him laser eyes. Jarek is a dumb character. And then finally at number 8, Meat. And it's because, like, is he even really a character? He's just... Meat is, I guess, a secret character in this game, but he can be used basically as a skin, pun intended, to any other character in the game. He doesn't have, like, own unique ability or anything like that. He does actually have a storyline, which is very small. It's maybe like a couple sentences, and it's basically that he was a failed experiment from Shang Tsung's flesh pits that escaped. So the final ranking for Mortal Kombat 4 Mortal Kombat Gold new characters is number 1 Quan Chi, number 2 Shinnok, number 3 Fujin, number 4 Tanya, number 5 Reiko, number 6 Kai, number 7 Jarek, and number 8 Meat. Now we're getting into one of my favorite games story-wise, and that is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. So the new characters that we get in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and I actually think a lot of these characters are pretty good characters and have great potential. We got Blaze, Bo Raicho, Draman, Frost, Suhao, Kenshi, Li Mei, Movado, Mocap, Malak, Nitara, and we're also going to add Serena in here. I know she wasn't in Deadly Alliance, but she was in the handheld version, which is Tournament Edition. I know I said we're not going to be talking about that, but I think we can add her in here because she is kind of an important character, and she doesn't really make her console appearance until Mortal Kombat Armageddon. So I'm throwing her in with the Deadly Alliance crew. So right off the bat, Kenshi has to be the most important number 1 character in this game. He is super important going forward. He was easily a fan favorite when he got thrown in. He just had that feel of like a Mortal Kombat character that's going to remain in most of the future games from here on out. So Kenshi, number 1. Number 2, Bo Raicho. These two are, were super easy for me. So number 2, definitely Bo Raicho. Bo Raicho has trained all of the greatest Earthrealm warriors despite being from Outworld. He does have great Outworldian pride. I don't know if that's how you would say that, but he has great pride for his realm, which we see in a lot of his storyline and some of his endings. He is a great character. He is the drunken master. He's kind of comic reliefy. He's definitely comic reliefy, but he's a good character, and I'm surprised we haven't really seen more of him. I mean, we did see him. He was DLC in MKX, and he trained the Great Kung Lao. He trained Liu Kang. He trains with the current Kung Lao. So I think Bo Raicho is a good character. I hope we see more of him in the future. Number 3, I think this one's probably gonna have to go to Serena. She made a big impact in Mortal Kombat Mythologies, even though we're not taking a look at that, but that does still have to do with Mortal Kombat lore. And it's a shame that we really never got to see her in a console game, because I think she has the ability to be a great character. She has the ability to be a popular character. I would love to see her in Mortal Kombat 12. I hope that they, consider adding her. I just think she has a lot of untapped potential. All right, so who's left? We've got Blaze, Draman, Frost, Suhao, Li Mei, Movado, Mocap, Malak, and Nitara. I'm stuck between 3, and those 3 are Frost, Li Mei, and Nitara. I think I'm gonna go with Frost. I think that the tiebreaker for Frost is the popularity, and yeah, I think that's really it. I think she's just slightly more popular than Nitara and Li Mei. I think all 3 of these characters are underused. I think all 3 of them have a lot of potential, and Frost being like, she was kind of a good guy at the beginning of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Then we see that like the greed gets the best of her. She betrays Sub-Zero, and then we see that kind of happen again in the new timeline. So I think it's good to put Frost here at number 4. So number 5, that's going to be between Nitara and Li Mei. I think Nitara is a better written character. She's unique because we get this vampire character and a whole new race of characters, and the writing team could have expanded upon Nitara and her realm of Eternus, and we could have took a deep dive in here and discovered more, but they did not. So again, unused potential. Nitara at number 5. Which is going to put Li Mei at number 6. And Li Mei is still a good character too. She's an Outworld native. She doesn't have anything super special about her. She's just an Outworlder, just like Bo Raicho. And they're friends. And I like her storyline, how it fits from Deadly Alliance into Deception, how they decided at the end of her Deadly Alliance storyline, her soul gets put into one of the Dragon King's soldiers. But then in Deception, we find out that Bo Raicho saves her at the last moment, and that her soul didn't get taken from her and put into the soldier, but he was able to save her. But she did still suffer from those effects, and she kind of like adapts this like Dragon King soldier attire in MK Deception. And then I like her ending in Deception 2, which is not canon, but it's that she betrays the team to be with Onaga and like rule as his queen. And then we do see her make a cameo in Mortal Kombat X also, but I think Li Mei is a character that they can bring back, and I think that she could be a good character if they do that. Okay, we're down to Blaze, Draman, Suhao, Movado, Mocap, and Malak. Movado is probably the best of these characters. I liked how they used his hook swords in Deadly Alliance. I also like his story that he killed Cabal and took his hook swords, although Cabal wasn't actually dead because no one dies in Mortal Kombat. I like that story, and they were setting him up to be like this really like awesome, very skilled assassin, and I thought we were going to see a lot more of him in future Mortal Kombat games, but then they just killed him in the next game. It was like Cabal found him and killed him and took his hook swords back, and that's it. I think they realized that Cabal was more popular, and they were like, we could just make Cabal the hook sword person and we'll just get rid of Movado. So they didn't give this character time to breathe, but I do like Movado as a character. Now we've got Blaze, Draman, Suhao, Mocap, and Malak. Blaze probably would go next. I guess he's pretty important. He's the big bad of Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I guess that's why we can put him next. Draman, Suhao, Mocap, and Malak. I think we're gonna go with Draman. Yeah, let's go with Draman here. He looks cool. He has this cool mask. He's an Oni. He's got the cool club. He was kind of like monster of the game in this game. And then, I mean, that's really my only reason for choosing him. Him and Malak are best friends, but I think he's just a much cooler character than Malak, so we'll put him there. I'm actually going to put Mocap at number 10. And the reason being is because Mocap knows who he is. He's a joke character. He's not supposed to be a serious character. And the way they work him into Mortal Kombat is pretty great. And Mocap was created as tribute to Carlos Pesina, who was one of the motion capture artists and like a long time Mortal Kombat actor who played in like the original 2D games. So that's why I think he deserves to go above these other two characters, because they were basically like, we're gonna make a character that's Carlos Pesina, put him in the game, and he, you know, turns out that he's like the motion capture for Johnny Cage and like Johnny Cage's video games or movies or whatever, which is like pretty cool. So I don't think Mocap is like as bad of a character as people say, so that's why I'm putting him there. Okay, now we've got Suhao and Malak. We're gonna go with Malak. Sorry, Suhao. Both of these characters are just boring, and then Suhao is gonna go last. Suhao actually does have a little bit more storyline than Malak, but Malak, I don't know. Malak is he's an Oni. Suhao is just some Red Dragon member, and he's widely regarded as one of the worst characters in Mortal Kombat. So that's my list. So the list for Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance new characters goes as follows. Number 1, Kenshi. Number 2, Bo Raicho. Number 3, Serena. Number 4, Frost. Number 5, Nitara. Number 6, Li Mei. Number 7, Movado. Number 8, Blaze. Number 9, Draman. Number 10, Mocap. Number 11, Malak. And number 12, Suhao. All right, now we get into one of the fan favorite and one of my favorite Mortal Kombat games, and that is Mortal Kombat Deception. It does have a very poor cast. And just to show you what I'm talking about, the characters that we're going to be ranking for the new characters in Mortal Kombat Deception are Ashra, Dairu, Darius, Havoc, Hotaru, Kira, Cobra, Onaga, and Shujinko. There's a few good characters here and a lot of bad ones. At number 1, I think it's probably going to have to be Havoc. Just the whole concept of Chaos Realm, Havoc being like the leader of Chaos Realm. Havoc has a lot of storyline in the new era. He had a pretty detrimental story in Deception, and he's like not necessarily bad. He just loves chaos. He just wants chaos. I think he's a very well-written character. I like him a lot, and I know everyone wants him back, and I really think he's gonna make an appearance in MK12 because fans have been asking for him. So I want to see him come back. I think he's the best new character in Mortal Kombat Deception. Followed by Onaga. Part of me wanted to put Onaga at number 1 because the story of the Dragon King, the lore behind it is pretty well done. The lore behind the one being is pretty well done, and that is, you know, in connection to Onaga. There's a lot of reference to Onaga. I think Onaga could come back and receive praise. And that's also kind of what these lists are for too, is like, can these characters make a comeback? And can they be reworked to be better characters? Or can they fill out their potential? And Onaga definitely fits the bill on that one. Who also fits the bill on that one? Hotaru. At the time that Deception came out, Hotaru was not seen as a great new character. In fact, people didn't really like him. But now that time has passed, Hotaru is, you know, he's the yin to Havoc's yang. You need him if you're going to do Havoc. If you're going to do a Havoc storyline, you need to have the Order Realm in there as well. And I think Hotaru is a good character that could be tweaked a little bit to become a great character. Number 4, I think this one's easy because I think the rest aren't very good, and that is Shujinko. I don't think Shujinko is that great of a character, but I don't think he's a bad character either. He was the protagonist of Mortal Kombat Deception, but I think he's just very cliche. He's a very cliche hero. He gets deceived at the end, and then he kind of, you know, makes up for it when he defeats Onaga. I think we can bring him back too, and he could be reworked and become a great character. He's made some cameo appearances in the new timeline, but I don't think he's as good as the first 3, and I definitely don't think he's as bad as the next few. So now we are down to Ashra, Dairu, Darius, Kira, and Cobra. Barf. I think Ashra is probably the best of these. She does have somewhat of a cool storyline where she's a demon herself, but she finds this Chris that makes her gives her like this divine energy when she kills other demons. So she roams around the Netherrealm slaying evil demons so that she can escape the Netherrealm, and that's really it for Ashra. That's all that we get for her. In Armageddon, I believe she does escape, but we don't really get that much story, and her story doesn't really help the rest of the story in Mortal Kombat, so she's going at number 5. The rest, I mean, who fucking cares where we put them? No, we're gonna still rank them, but the rest are really bad. This is like as bad gets. Number 6. So we've got Dairu, Darius, Kira, and Cobra. Man, it's like, take your pick. All these characters are pretty freaking bad. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I think Dairu is probably the best of them. And I've always said he is the most forgettable Mortal Kombat character. Some people might even be watching this video and go, who the fuck is that? Because that's how bad of a character Dairu is. But at least they gave him somewhat of a story. He was a Ronin. Also, fun fact, Dairu was supposed to be a character in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, but he eventually got scrapped, and they probably should have kept it that way. Yeah, I think just because he has at least somewhat of a story. Then we've got Darius, Kira, and Cobra. Darius is so bad, but so is the other two. I'm gonna make all 3 picks right now. I'm gonna go Darius, I'm gonna go Cobra, and then I'm gonna go Kira. Darius kind of has his own story that doesn't really do anything and go anywhere, and I don't even know why they added him to this game because he's super forgettable also. Cobra is just Mortal Kombat Ken Masters, which I guess earns him like a smidge of a point. Kira is just female Kano. Just like what they did with Jarek, they did the exact same thing, but made her female. That's why she's at 9. So your list for the new characters in Mortal Kombat Deception are number 1, Havoc, number 2, Onaga, number 3, Hotaru, number 4, Shujinko, number 5, Ashra, number 6, Dairu, number 7, Darius, number 8, Cobra, and number 9, Kira. The next 2 games are pretty easy. So we've got Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and then we've got Mortal Kombat 9, also known as Mortal Kombat 2011, or the Mortal Kombat reboot. So Mortal Kombat Armageddon, we have 2 new characters. We've got Dagon and Taven. And, well, I'm going to put them in that order. I think Taven's kind of a wet blanket. I don't really like him. I don't like him as a protagonist. His voice acting's bad, and he has, like, no idea what's going on. Dagon at least has somewhat of a story in the Mortal Kombat X comics. Or, well, I guess he shows up, like, up at the end. And they both make cameo appearances in Mortal Kombat X endings, but I think Dagon, he started the Red Dragon, he's got more of a story, so that's why I'm going to put him over Taven. So for Mortal Kombat Armageddon, it's going to go number 1, Dagon, number 2, Taven. Mortal Kombat 9. We only have one new character, and it's DLC, and it's Scarlet. So we can't really rank her up against anything. So, number 1, Scarlet. I mean, Cyber Sub-Zero is a new character, but we've already ranked Kuai Liang, so we can't do that. Because he's still Kuai Liang. So another thing that I wanted to make mention is I'm not ranking any of the guest characters. So no Kratos, no Freddy Krueger, none of the guest characters we see in DLC for Mortal Kombat X or Mortal Kombat 11, just because they don't do anything for Mortal Kombat story. They're just there to sell games. I wish they would really kind of get rid of guest characters and just add more Mortal Kombat characters. So I'm not going to rank any of them. Mortal Kombat X. Now, I know a lot of people don't like some of the characters in Mortal Kombat X, but I think they're some of the best characters that we've gotten since Mortal Kombat 2. Yes, since Mortal Kombat 2. So these new characters in Mortal Kombat X, we've got Cassie Cage, D'Vorah, Aaron Black, Ferrator, Jackie Briggs, Kotal Khan, Kung Jin, Takeda, Tremor, and Triborg. I mean, Triborg's kind of like, maybe he's a new character, but I guess he is. So number 1, I think, without a doubt, is Cassie Cage. She basically was the protagonist in this game. She defeated Shinnok. She's a strong character. They made her to be like the Quan Chi and the Kenshi and the character that's going to continue to be in games from here on out. I think it's easy to see that. She's got a lot of personality. So I think number 1, hands down, Cassie Cage. Number 2, honestly, I think it's Kotal Khan. I think Kotal Khan is one of the most underrated characters in Mortal Kombat. If you read the comics, you see just how powerful he is. He's out there fucking kicking ass. In terms of how he handles in the actual game is not great. He's a little sluggish. I think he's kind of hard to use, but I think as a character, he has supplied so much lore, and just to have like an Aztec god type character, which we don't normally see in any type of like game or media or whatever, it's unique, it's great. I love him as a character. I think he's easily number 2. Number 3, I'm actually gonna go with Takeda on this one. I'm surprised they didn't bring Takeda back from Mortal Kombat 11. I thought he was such a strong character in Mortal Kombat X. The Mortal Kombat X comics focuses mainly on him. He has such big backstory. He's Kenshi's son. He's a Shirai Ryu. Really disappointed they didn't bring him back. He's just a great character all around. Number 4, I think this one's gonna go to D'Vorah. And I know a lot of people actually don't like D'Vorah, and I think that's mainly because she killed Melina. But again, it's just, she's a unique character. This big bug character, we get this whole story of the Kaitin and the Arnyak Islands, and it opens up the door for a whole world of Mortal Kombat that we haven't seen before. And yeah, she killed Melina, so she deserves to be up on the list. And then we find out that she's double-crossing Kotal Khan. So I don't think she played that big of a role in Mortal Kombat 11. I think maybe she didn't even need to be in Mortal Kombat 11, but I think she's still a good character, and that's why I'm putting her at number 4. Number 5, I think this one goes to Jackie. So Jackie Briggs gonna take number 5. She's not as strong as Cassie or Takeda, in my opinion. I feel like they felt like they had to keep her and bring her back because they introduced Cassie. Jackie isn't, in my opinion, a great character, but she's definitely not a bad character. The problem with Jackie is that her story is always kind of held down by the people around her. So it's held down by Jax. It's held down by Cassie. She doesn't really have her own story. She's kind of almost like Smoke, what I said about Smoke. She's like connected to the other characters around her. And that's why I'm going to put her at 5. But I still think she's better than the rest of the characters that I'm going to talk about. Okay, so who's left? We've got Aaron Black, Ferrator, Kung Jin, Tremor, and Triborg. Aaron Black is going to take number 6 for me. It's cool to have a cowboy in Mortal Kombat. He, if you know how to use him correctly in like actual gameplay, he's a really awesome character. He's just kind of a letdown to me. I thought he was going to have much more story. I'm actually surprised they brought him back for Mortal Kombat 11 because he didn't really do much for the story in MKX, and he doesn't really do much for the story in MK11 either. He's the type of character that I just thought would have a bigger impact in Mortal Kombat lore, and he doesn't. But I still think he's better than these other characters, so that's why he's at 6. So now we've got Ferrator, Kung Jin, Tremor, and Triborg. Let's go with Kung Jin here. Kung Jin is easily the weakest of the Kombat kids, which is a shame because he is the first openly gay character in Mortal Kombat. And you would think that they would make a character like that be more interesting, because he's not very interesting. He's very boring. In fact, Cassie, Jackie, and Takeda all have huge backstories, especially in the MKX comics, and Kung Jin has like a page in the MKX comics, which is just like, oh yeah, he's a thief. Even playing as him is boring. So it's just a shame that they wasted him. Like this character is just super boring to me, and that's why he's going down here. I think next is going to be Tremor at number 8. Tremor is kind of a fan favorite. People were asking for him for years. You know, he initially showed up in MK Special Forces. He had almost no backstory. They bring him back, and he's only a DLC character because the community wanted to see him. He's an Earthbender, which is pretty cool, but he doesn't really do anything. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of here because people were like, we want to see Tremor, and they threw him in. I definitely would love to give him a second chance and put him in at the beginning of the game and have him like interact with the story, but for now he's going to be down here. Number 9, we've got 2 characters left, Ferritor and Triborg. So at number 9, we're going to go with Ferritor. Again, I don't know what it is about this character. I know it's based off of Master Blaster from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, which I guess is kind of cool, but this character has no appeal to me, and it had no appeal to me when I was playing Mortal Kombat X. I guess characters, because there are 2. But yeah, that's why they're going here. And then number 10, Triborg, because Triborg isn't really a character. He's 3 characters mixed into one. And I don't even know if his story is really all that canon. So Triborg at number 10. The list of new characters for Mortal Kombat X, we've got number 1, Cassie Cage. Number 2, Kotal Khan. Number 3, Takeda. Number 4, Devora. Number 5, Jackie Briggs. Number 6, Aaron Black. Number 7, Kung Jin. Number 8, Tremor. Number 9, Ferritor, and number 10, Triborg. Now we're getting into Mortal Kombat 11. So, we've made it. Mortal Kombat 11, Aftermath, Ultimate Edition, whatever. There are only 4 new characters in this game. And they are Cetrion, Garrus, Collector, and Kronika. I don't think this is going to be too hard for me to rank. We got some lame new characters in Mortal Kombat 11. But that's okay, because there's only 4 of them. We got a lot of returning characters, and I actually kind of like it like that. I think Cetrion is easily the most interesting of these 4 characters. I think you could probably bring Cetrion back, and she could still be pretty cool. We've never really seen an Elder God outside of Shinnok before, so to bring an Elder God into the game and to have her be, you know, an actual playable character, I think that's pretty cool. We'll go with Cetrion at number 1. Number 2, Garrus. I love his ability. I think his ability to like kind of just regenerate, and he has this like sands of time kind of ability. I think that's pretty cool. I don't think he's that great of a character, but he does have cool things about him. Number 3, Kronika. As a boss, she's not great. She's supposed to be imposing, but it's kind of just like a boss of the game, like a generic throw this boss in here, and I don't know, we introduced Titans with this game, and she's the Titan of Time, and it just feels like they could have done something better. I don't necessarily hate Kronika, but I don't think she's that great of a character either. And then I think in last is definitely Collector at number 4. Again, he's just super boring, and it's his design is kind of lame. They kind of just like made a 6-arm Shokan and like made him greedy and shrunk him down. I didn't think Collector was that great of a character, and he doesn't really do anything for the story. I would have much rather had either another new character or just another like classic MK alumni character come in here in his place. So Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath new character rankings are number 1, Cetrion, number 2, Garrus, number 3, Kronika, and number 4, Collector. That's it for me for this video. Do you agree with my rankings? Do you not? Sound off in the comments below. Let me know what your rankings of all the new characters in Mortal Kombat games are. I will try to reply on every comment that I get. Again, if you liked this video, it would mean a great deal to me to give me a big thumbs up. And also let me know some other videos that you would like to see from me from here on out. Without further ado, I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you for watching.